This is from member Dirtier Dog. They say, Professor, I read your book, Repeal the Second Amendment, last summer and was surprised at how thorough and convincing your arguments and data were. It feels important to know the original framers did not want individuals to have the right to bear arms, and that knowledge changes the way I view the Second Amendment. My suspicion is most people believe that the framers wanted each individual to have a right to bear arms. Why do you think this interpretation has shifted within everyday people?
Yeah, it didn't used to be that way until the late 20th century. You know, for almost 200 years, it was the conventional wisdom that, of course, the Second Amendment was all about a well-regulated militia and not about individuals bearing arms. In fact, to the extent debates survive about the amendment, it was all about whether certain religious groups could exempt themselves from the militia. Nothing to do with the individual right to bear arms. And among many arguments, my killer argument was, who crafted the Second Amendment, Sam? Do you know?
Slave owners.
Slave owner, James Madison. Slave owners voted for it in Congress, in state ratification processes. Would slave owners for 1 second have considered voting for an amendment that would have given free black people the right to keep and bear arms, or women the right? Come on. That's just absurd. Not a single person, not one of the thousands involved in voting for the amendment or ratifying in the states ever said it established an individual right to bear arms. All of this changed with the strategy of the National Rifle Association after the right-wing revolution in Cincinnati and the takeover by President Charlton Heston, in which they perpetrated what the former conservative Chief Justice Burger of the U.S. Supreme Court called one of the biggest hoaxes in American history, the idea that somehow the Second Amendment gave individuals a right to keep and bear arms. And then Antonin Scalia ran with that in the Heller decision in 2010, even though he had no direct contemporary evidence for it, and got roundly criticized by conservatives for abandoning his own idea of being faithful to the strict construction of the Constitution that put this falsehood into American constitutional law. It's I agree with Berger, one of the biggest and worst hoaxes we've ever experienced. And you would think, to listen to the gun lobby, that we were the safest country among our peer democracies, especially when it came to gun violence, because we have these guns to defend us. Well, the opposite is true. As I point out in my book, an American is 20 times more likely to be murdered by a gun per capita than a resident of our closest peer democracies, the G7 group of nations plus Australia. Not 20% more likely, 20 times more likely. Thanks for watching our video. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a member today.